Welcome back to VCT Americas. We are ready for map 2 here in our second series of the day. G2, we heard the desk. It kind of looked like a cakewalk here because Sentinels have to come out swinging.
And I'm scared now because they're going into Icebox. Sentinels, last time they played it, they only played it once so far. They played it against Crew. Crew came out with this double controller setup with the Harbor and the Viper, something that Sentinels had a hard time dealing with. But now we're going to this game. Oh my God, okay, wait, hold on. Sentinels comes in with something new here, and they're almost...
the Gecko now.
Exactly, they're almost mirror comping G2 if G2 plays the same composition, which then means here that they're pulling out the Gecko, but instead of playing the Harbor, they're going with an Omen. So you want to add a little bit more verticality going to how you want to exit into these sites. Because again, you're looking at this, both teams are not playing any duelists. For the side of G2, the way that they're playing it, they're scaling quite well thanks to the Harbor. But on the side here of Sentinels, I'm expecting to get a lot of that verticality coming out from Zekin to allow Sentinels to get a little more space, a little bit of crosses to allow to open up the sites. And they have a chance to do that now for Sentinels because they start on the attack.
Remember, this does mean a spot in Toronto here. Sentinels trying to keep this series alive. G2 could lock it down right here with the 13 rounds in their pocket. I'm sure Sentinels won't make it as easy on this. We're going to get into the map. Icebox, we see teams now bringing out the Geckos. I'm excited. These changes late in the season here. Let's see what teams cook up.
Yeah, pistol round's already underway, and Sentinels are kind of running things just like G2. A lot of pressure towards this B side on the pistol, trying to scout out where the defense could be. But it's a full setup for G2. Leaf has set his turret up towards this B site just to try to get early information. The pressure's coming towards mid instead, so they can try to go for this pinch in the back.
Already around yellow. Sentinels moving quite quick, but do they know how many will be around?
Yeah.
The flank splits up. Valen with 2, classic. Easy as they just come around the corner all willy-nilly on the side of SEN. Zalsis is able to push forward. Everybody's getting a little tricky here as they don't know where the full capacity of each team is, but they're still trying to seek each other out. One more trade goes through, and very low health here for G2 to get back into the site.
Hilo is too good at the start for G2. Both players of Sentinels are isolated, though.
Oh, just gooped on there, and they have to get now to John Cutie. Takes down one, turns, almost gets to 180. But it is just going to be a quick classic. Wingman's already on the defuse. And that's going to be enough. A round win for G2. They secure another pistol.
That was such a solid hold for G2 in the very beginning. You mentioned how many players would be flanking towards that back for the set of G2. And it was a split second where the turret was down, but it came back up on time for Zelsis to spot that. And that call just activated Sentinel to try to push back towards the back of the B site. But you have a high-low from the top of the bridge and kitchen towards the back of the site. They weren't ready for it from the side of Sentinels, and G2 were just able to play full man advantage throughout the whole pistol. Now building into a very strong second half. An Outlaw already comes out here for the side of Jonah P, allowing for them to play a little bit more of a 4-1 setup here on this Icebox defense.
It is nice. We don't usually see Jonah with it, but it is perfect for that B long position. They have Kitchen covered. He's going to be right under the tube. Leaf making the stinger sing, and he does it again. A third one. Knows it's going to be Jogamo stealing that away. Impossible ace. That's all right, though. iBuyPower's taking a breath. They've seen too many lately. Jonah P finishes up that one, and it is going to be 2 here for G2.
And you're just playing Lemmings going into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So much util to stop towards that back, though. The Gecko flash towards that top really didn't allow Sentinels to play and trade as a group. And speaking of playing as a team, this time you're giving the Outlaw on the side of Jogimo. For this buy, Sentinels already respects it because of that second round shot. Is that you have Jonah P already getting that first pick. So all buying full shields on the side of Sentinels at the same time puts a dent into their economy. They have to be flawless in this round to try to tie things up. But look at this push from G2.
What's expected on both sides. Bang is so ready in a third one. Trent knows there's going to be more of a fight here. He has to get out safe somehow. That swing, Bang finds a third kill and is going to get a 4th point for the ultimate on this round. Leaf is getting pretty close pretty quick here. Not waiting for the team, he just goes for the swing. That was an abrupt stinger swing for sure. And now we'll just see if they can take down Jog here as he gets the defuse. A nice round for Sentinels.
Yeah, you're trying to do as much damage as possible, pop damage, so that Jog will get 1-shots across the board. That would take down actually 3 of them. There's that first with a headshot.
John Cutie answers back. It was a heady play, trying to tick off the armor there, but another one goes, or I should say the first for this map in Sentinel's favor.
And that was good for Sentinels to stay back towards the spawn for the very beginning. The bonus round, they learned a little bit from Split that G2 likes to play areas where you can close the gap. And when you're playing on a map like Icebox, where a drone could be very good here, the stealth drone from Mateo, where you're trying to close as much as possible, trying to rush into Garage if they actually do hear that drone. But they peek, they get punished. And Sentinels, we mentioned they needed a clean round, and they got it. Full rifle rounds for both teams, though. And you'll see this pressure continue on from both sides. This is something also that Trent has been doing with the salvos at the very beginning. We'll talk that point in a little bit here, because Zekin is looking for control and for some space in front of this A site.
Pushed up so far here, just on the other side of the wall. One smoke pops, doesn't get a headshot off of that wall diagonal. And they just reset, but it's all about Bang right now and how much info he can grab in this position. Inserted so far into Kitchen.
That's so nice.
They're not even thinking about it. Oh, there's the timing. Oh, Leaf turns at just the last moment. You have to be kidding. And now they're forced to push into sight. G2 know they have a lock on where the rest of the members are, basically. And they are going to give them space before the retake. Oh, yep. How many spams? How many shots? This smoke. They try to break the smoke without any utility. And just on the other side, Sentinels waits with open arms. Another one for Zekin and a second round for Sentinels.
The push and pull was very nice for Sentinels there. And then you also see why Zekin is playing this Omen for the side of Sentinels and instead of playing a Harbor, smoking out the turret, allowing Bang to move up. And even if he dies, it pulled out the rotate from G2 back towards the A main, towards the screens, so that Sentinels could actually start moving into the A site. And not only that, continue to push towards the screen to keep everybody isolated from G2 on the outside of the site. Fighting through the smoke, the second smoke being thrown by Bang, or by Zekin, sorry, was perfect.
Let's go.
Those cleanups and the hype from Zelsis is there. You can hear it. Sheriff's here for G2 as they go into this round. And I love that point about Sentinels having the Omen. I mean, the part of the having Harbor here was to have it with the Sova, to be able to move up in layers.
Yeah.
But it just seems like having that Omen allows Sen to keep fighting and get the angles they want overall.
And also, to discuss again this initiator coming out here from Trent and Joggivo, and also from Naren Dark Cutie, why no Sova? The tail salvos are just good enough here to take full control of pipes and in front of orbs so that people can't really run forward. You'll need to find that information first with a recon dart, because you could just brute force your way through with the salvos and fight for trades. And now you see an eco coming out for G2. They tried to go for a peek towards middle. Couldn't do any damage there, and Sentinels, they could just min-max the orbs, min-max some kills, and build up their ults here in the next round.
Pressure towards A does not seem like it'll be used too much since B is taken, but Sentinels are really gaining control of the map here and not giving up that space when they know they have the better weaponry. You can't be shy to G2 at any point in time, or they will attack, and Sentinels push even harder when they know they can go for the throat on this round.
Once again, the value of Zekin on this Omen. Trying to create space for the team. You just saw there as he TPs on the top of yellow, it forces the players at G2 to turn around and try to focus on them so the rest of the Sentinels could just scale behind.
High five, Keeper.
And it seems Sentinels still wants to keep doing this conditioning. The salvos will continue up here. The wall comes out on the defensive side though, and Valen scales into the nest. A great spot, because when this calms down, you'll probably see a couple of players of G2 start falling back, and the responsibility right now for Leaf is to play soft.
So what's the protocol here for Sentinels, right? They have identified that was a push. Like, we haven't seen this before. What are they going to do? And it's Zekin to teleport across, just like you said, creating that space, helping the team get a forward position, but they have to be wary. Do they have that wall to go up for Bang just yet? Oh my gosh. Doesn't seem like they have the wall just yet, but they'll Armageddon, and they'll put everything else over here towards the site as Leaf gets himself to safety on that.
And he wants to play an aggressive position here on the top of the site. One pick allows for him to get the lockdown, and you can trade out these ults.
Thrash goes through. Bang is able to start returning the favor. Lockdown almost gets thrown, but it was in such an open position. It's instantly thwarted. And now the 2v3. G2 still have stopped the plant, but now they'll have to look to get the defuse as Zelsis throws it down on the site.
And this should guarantee it for Sentinels. Zelsis has his own lockdown, and if it has to come down to that, they push them back, and then you have a pit from Bang. So the last two players of G2 definitely already falling back. But you saw how you were just so tunnel visioned on the side of Leaf. As soon as he gets the pick, he throws out the lockdown, and he's trying to plan it, but at the same time, doesn't really pay attention to his surroundings, that his teammates are actually falling down. So you have a couple of players of Sentinels slipping through the cracks and able to capitalize on that pick. And the silver lining is that he still has it going into the next round now for G2.
True, he didn't get the activation, so it just got destroyed. But you're right, it's maybe he was thinking people were snowman, people were over to the right side, able to see across the map in that situation towards B. And that, it goes to show how fast Sentinels are also moving to be in that position where we were just praising Leaf for having the 1v1 effect where you can get yourself into a spot that's draining the enemy's utility. This time, he gets taken down before being able to use his. Let's see it all again. As they just fly, through the Thrash. Through the Thrash, that's dirty.
It's almost two with this comp you could play.
They have 4 guns.
You can definitely see here that they have kind of like double drones into these ults when you have the Thrash available for the side of both teams for G2 and Sentinels. But now this timeout comes through, and I think it's important. So far, you've seen Josh RT do a lot of these early timeouts for the team where he already has a good read into the game. He probably already knows the type of protocols that Sentinels are kind of doing right now to execute towards these sites. So do you actually want to start saving your salvos to just land him where Bang could be TPing, or sorry, Zeki could be TPing it across? Or how do you just want to fight back maybe in fort positions here that Sentinels are, they're allowing Sentinels to take, especially on this B side at the very beginning?
It's a nice job. I think usually when we see G2 fall, if you think back to C9 G2 Haven, it was about Nets lurks on that. So the lurks, a lurker being able to get under the skin of G2, able to take out how they're playing and not allow that protocol post-plant retake they're so good at.
And that's a great point, because so far Sentinels hasn't been needed to use that yet. If it comes down to those moments where Bang could activate a little bit more, yes, they did it when they did the push and pull towards that too, but so far just the brute forcing from Sentinels has been good enough. And that could also be the next thing of conversation, the next point of conversation that Kaplan could instill here with the Sentinels team.
All right, let's see how G2 comes out of this timeout. What they have on their plate. 3 ultimates ready. Oh no, sorry, 2 ultimates, or 1 ultimate, yeah, 2 ults ready on their side. Thrash, as well as that lockdown we still have from Leaf. And they're gonna actually be pressured again towards that B site. See if they get the lockdown earlier than later on this. With a push here from the right side too, Jogamo should be able to tell G2 this is a B hit.
Yeah. They've already went for the drone in the very beginning. So again, the 2 players on the B side have to play a little bit more soft. You see here that you're playing very passively for Leaf, trying to activate here with the lockdown. If you're going to use that and push it back towards Jogamo, although Bang is already watching that flank. Sentinels are kind of pinned towards the spawn though, and they might have to commit towards this B side, but thankfully, as you've mentioned, they have this lockdown to open it up.
They could stall on both sides with this. Does Leaf answer right away? He's actually on the outside, so they're going to wait, use their lockdown for retake from the side of G2. And we're just going to get a breathing moment here as the team's set up for sight.
Still not too sure yet with this lockdown that was placed down by Leaf. Because they could just wait this out for Sentinel. The wall could come back up, then they have to pick for the pulse plant.
I thought that was going to be coming in much later. Zelsa's kill comes in now onto Trent, though. They're waiting patiently for Zekin and the team to push through. They know Sentinels want to take a bit more space here. It's going to be tough to all hide on that B main, and Valen starts to collect another head on this. Sentinels falling left and right as Leaf finds another, a third, and possibly a fourth, but no, it's Valen. Leaf, it's a full house between those two. With Valen's defuse, they do pick up a round after the timeout.
And that's why I was going to mention the lockdown would have been perfect to counter into the pit. And if you're going to use it early, you're hoping that the rest of G2 could follow behind a Thrash on a retake. And again, it's G2. So they followed behind that towards the end and got the perfect picks coming out from Leaf.
Man, you just see how sorted they had Sentinels. How many members of Sentinels were actually looking at the person killing him there?
Nate.
Not
Thank
many.
God for Nate.
So the speed
Holy
G2
shit, I'm
hit
the
back
best player
with.
on this map, bro.
Maybe not on that lockdown round, but definitely on that retake.
Yeah.
One round
a grain of
separates
salt.
these two teams now, and it seems like Sentinels, after getting snuffed out here on the pulse plan towards the B site, but they don't have too many ults to work with. Now they can leverage verticality with Zekin towards this A site. Already TP on top of pipes, yeah.
Ready for the fight. Backs up if this goes away and the wall doesn't give him necessarily the right angle. He says, wait a minute. Pinged me out.
And here are those lurks that we were just mentioning here from Sentinels that they haven't really utilized yet, and they were doubling up in the first place.
Interesting. They're giving over Zelsis for this lurk now, along with Bang to start off, just making sure it's not going to be a lost fight if they do have to get into some back and forth. But no real push and pull just yet. I feel like G2 has met Sentinels right at the front door each time here. Towards mid there, towards pipes at A. So it's almost going to have to be a reset for these signatures. The salvo is the skills.
Ooh. This is the biggest fight right here.
Faked him out with the up and down on the wall. Jonah P gets a beautiful kill on the lurk. But they still have to worry about Bang making his way towards middle. Seems like G2 already has A sorted, and it should not be a problem for the time being.
I mean, you've lost all that space towards the garage,
yeah.
And now you're wasting time too, staying as a group, and Jonah still has a snake bite to work with.
Left.
So if they're trying to push and engage back towards B main, he could still stall and delay. Walking towards middle, the alarm bot's going to come up, and G2 should be ready for this still.
They just drone towards A. So G2 should know they can all start to rotate out. Yep, finding themselves the clear here. Oh no, he puts his weapon away! Neri goes for the util. Bang and John Cutie aren't ready. Jonah P grabs 4 as Leaf collects the round. 4-4 on the scoreline now.
And that's what happens when you're wasting too much time on the side of Sentinels. They've lost so much space. You've already lost your drone at the very beginning when you're trying to find info on A site. Then now you have to play contact, and then you can't even play contact anymore because there's only 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
So you're not clearing your angles. You're still thinking that Jonah P's holding up towards the garage. He goes on at 10, and then it's three kills.
Jeez. That's the play, Jonah P. Play safe, play smart. That's what it gets you. My gosh. I think even in the vibes that we're seeing here, when we go from Josh RT to Kaplan, one's just smiling, laughing, and Kaplan's like, wait, we need to do this, we need to do this. Like G2 may be feeling different, and SEN needs to shut that down now and find their momentum, find their flow state. Leaf starts off here with the first blood, but Bang answers back, or Bang gets answered rather. Still the fight towards B. Drones, clears. This would be the back and forth that Sentinels need here. They need to stop this economy of G2 and get themselves back in. Is it this star? Yes. What star do you aim at? What star? They're throwing Mosh over towards the spike. No, over towards back so they get dispersed from hiding on yellow. It almost works. Sentinels is so ready for the trade though as they reposition and take down G2.
And that's a huge run for Sentinels. Very difficult to enter towards the B site when you've already lost Bang in the very beginning.
Yeah.
There's no wall to block it up, and Nari just says, I'm going to up the tempo. I feel that I have a timing. I'm going to push up in the front, and he gets 2 backstabs. Maybe not the kill on the second one, but already gained all that space to allow for him to just plant things to the wingman. So that was a very nice answer back onto Sentinels after getting dismantled by Jonah P's position.
Yeah.
On the previous round.
Gotta shake it off.
Exactly.
A few early salvos you heard on the other side of the map, which probably means we'll get about a 1-minute hit if they don't find any frags coming over to this side of the site. A little slow down from Jonah P. Playing very close though for the unknown here. Ooh. Oh my gosh, Celsius goes down. The paranoia kind of locking him in, I think, for a second, not realizing what the situation was.
And that's a spike too. Now being picked up, but Zekin cannot really TP away, so it forces Sentinels to push inside
Not
B.
again, not again. Keep the guns out, narrate. He goes down, 2 bullets left for Jonah P. Again, he still peeks. Help just over the shoulder as Sentinels try to reorganize. How do they get back in? Bang looking for that opening kill.
This is going to be so difficult. They have Reckoning right away from Valen. He gets dropped, but they're still at a 2-player advantage for G2.
Tried to play the up and down wall. John Cutie in a great position here. He's pressed a little bit forward, but they can't really help each other in this situation. It's going to take solo star power from the positions they're in. Leaf on one, and the second one's not gonna make it. The dance around from Jogamo, so Trent can get the kill on John Cutie. And a defuse comes in for G2 to tie us up again.
I'm not too sure towards the end of the round, though, if they saw that Jogamo had an operator or not, but even that.
Oh, yeah.
That aside, at the very beginning of the round, G2 did a great job just strengthening towards the B side. When they realized here that Sentinels were actually adding a lot of pressure towards this B side, punishing Jonah at the very beginning in round number 10.
Oh, he got team paranoia.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
And because of that AWP that they utilized on the A side for Jogamo, they could actually strengthen that B side for G2. And yeah, again, just a little bit of misluck out for Sentinels, but G2 is able to tie this game up. And thankfully, though, it's a different story from the first map. We're going back and forth. It's 5-5. There's still a lot of fight left for both of these teams here. Going into round number 11, as Sentinels are actually adding, once again, more pressure towards A side. G2 wants to pressure back towards middle, and his early drone allows Leaf to push down and gain that space and prevent the rotate from happening.
Yeah, why not get Leaf a lockdown? Either way, kill or be killed. He comes into the final round with an ult here. But beautiful insert positioning. Sentinels knows they don't have any of that coverage behind. They'll be forced to work forward, but I feel like they're almost good, not almost, but they're almost ready for this position a lot of the times, and good in the situation. Firing the Armageddon towards the backside. Well, they know they're going to have sight with Armageddon. G2 won't play in sight for that pain, but they will answer back.
Plant still goes down, though, and missed.
Ooh.
Towards the front of Jenny.
Haven't seen that plant in a long time. It's easy to post plant, but oh my God, they're not even going to have to try. Leaf gets presented with a 1-2-3. Easy as that, and Jonah P gonna give that one to Trent. No, to Jogamo on the defuse as they go around the ring. And yeah, 6-5 here for G2. It just looked like Sentinels was not ready for what they were getting hit with.
I mean, that's just unfortunate too. You had to fight in the front of the site to allow this plant to go down, to set up here for Zelsis to throw his nanostorms down. And Leaf finds the perfect timing to go towards that back. And when you throw a Reckoning for the retake for Valen, and Leaf is there on that flank.
I don't even have to shoot nobody. I'm just jumping around.
That's what I'm saying. It's just Leaf being the best on the map right now, as he mentioned before, and he's able to just isolate all of these fights because of that Reckoning that was thrown by Valen. It looked easy on the side of Leaf, but there was still a lot of util for G2 to not allow Sentinels to set up here on the pulse plant.
I feel like that works for Jogamo. Last time we talked to him about the Gecko play, since it's one of his most recent, he said, I just got to use the util, right? Use it and pick it up, use it. So if he doesn't have to shoot, then he's got all the time in the world to use that util and help the team get into situations.
Remember when they had this drone and also the Thrash from Narrate? They're utilizing it as a double drone, so already gaining that space in the very beginning towards B. Yeah. And then Narrate's moving forward, so they could probably leverage the Thrash.
Zelsis, what do you hear? Seeing if he can get some footsteps and find the back of any of these members coming through, but look at Leaf. Leaf still wondering what's going to be coming out of A. The entire team actually not buying this so far, fans.
TP for the A side plant. Zelsis has a huge responsibility to try to get this pick if they're trying to flood back in.
Oh, the #1 job right now. They're not even going to try. They don't know who's actually made it in off the timing, so G2 just go for a regular post-plant retake. The 5v5 is going to occur here for the last round of our first half. Oh, jazz hands. Half defuse doesn't get hit. There's going to be some utility coming out here. Jogamo answers with 1, and we stay at half. 2v4. It's G2 trying to get these members back into the site as they're getting swarmed by Sentinels now, and it's just looking like too much for G2 to overcome. But Jonah P has 1, can't find a second as Narrate locks that in. And we go even in the first half of Icebox.
So nice for Sentinels for the last round of the half. Just throwing the Boomerang Thrash here to force the rotate over, and Zelsis cannot punish anybody to rotate across, but at least he gets space. And that's a beautiful call coming out from John Cutie, that we haven't seen that all throughout the whole half for Sentinels. So for G2, they were thrown for a loop, and that means that for the second half, I'm expecting more ace under the sleeves from both of the teams.
Good job.
Crazy stuff. Awesome to have the even 6-6 as we get into this first half of Split. And we're going to be go to something a little different this time. We're going to be tossing to Liz on stage with Immy and Googly.
Thank you so much, Vansili and Riv. And yes, I have the coaches of Cloud9 with me, Immy and Googly. Now, if you watched the games yesterday, you saw, yes, you can give it up for them. You can give it up. because because if you watched the game yesterday, it was a hard-fought battle, but we sadly said goodbye to Cloud9 yesterday. Amy, I'm gonna go to you first. We saw you in the coaching booth. We saw you afterwards. What was the immediate conversation afterwards with the team after the loss?
Just making sure everyone was okay. That was the main thing. Like, I was more sad than ever. Last year, I was angry at my team. This time, I was just sad for them. Yeah.
And Google, going to you next. This is, you know, obviously this is your first time being in the States with them. You were in Italy, I believe, or last time before you came here. Being in person, experiencing this loss, what was that like?
It was nice to see the players, be able to talk to them, and be able to like work for what we want to do next. Like that's the most important thing. Like what is the next step for us?
Now, going to you, Amy, you are best friends with Zelsis. For those of you who don't know, Sentinel Zelsis on stage, currently focused on the game, is best friends with C9 Imi. What would it mean for you for him to qualify to Masters Toronto as his best friend?
Well, I lose him for a month, but other than that, I really want him to win. Like, he messaged me yesterday to see if I was okay. I was like, don't worry about me. Just go out there and win tomorrow, and I'll be there supporting.
Well, when he watches his back, what do you want to say to him?
That I love him.
Anything you would like to say to anyone on Sentinels?
Good luck.
Simple as that. And what can we expect a Cloud9 Champions visit next year in Stage 2?
I think we're definitely capable of it. We just have to figure out this playoff issue and just really grind into why it's happening, and hopefully we can make it out.
Well, thank you so much. Everyone get it for Emi and Googly one more time. But we have a 6-6 hat to get back to you. So friends, please take it away.
Thank you, Liz and Imi and Googly. I didn't know we had that much space on stage to fit that much brain power, but we do. We do, indeed. And we're also watching the cinema that is G2 and Sentinels here. The brain power of Valen and John Cutie call these two teams into an even first half on split, but it is G2 with that first map, Van. So Sentinels, they have no room to let up here.
G2 likes to scale behind a harbor wall on the B side and leverage a flash to take control of B. Sentinel still decides to play a solo player towards this B site. All of them being stacked up on the middle for the rest here for Sentinels. And they're expecting some sort of a pump back towards mid. But unfortunately for them, it's a wrong call for now.
Salvo's in the Ghost. Secondary wall goes up, and they've really already taken that zone 1 of space here, so no problem. Of course, Valen will go ahead and connect with the Narrate to start off on this pistol round, and that's huge. The Gecko util for retake is one of the biggest things you're going to want to have if you're bringing that to Icebox now, and it's gone for Sen.
Definitely say their team like 100 Thieves on this map when they had that Gecko for the defuse, or the wingman for the defuse, rather. But this time around, you have to force the body on it.
Swinging in, Valen with 2 on the round, but he goes down, done his job for sure. But Bang, John Cutie, and Zekin are ready. Half defused, puts him in a pretty good spot here, but they still have to source out the rest of the members of G2. Very, very close. Oh, they can't get it. Leaf goes in and gives him a hug. The knife kill to come out as well, and it's not going to be enough as the salvos are already ringing true on the spike. Trent, absolutely amazing to get the clutch in the pistol round for G2.
And Jogimo, who's mentioning that all he does in his server is jump around, jumps inside the smoke for a knife kill, headshot onto Bang. And you keep Trent alive in the post plant. He's alive with the salvos.
Yeah, you got a knife
And that's
kill?
G2 with the pistol.
Oh my gosh. And they feel comfortable doing that. They know what the situation is. They know the chaos they have to create. But still you have Trent, like you mentioned, not in that chaos, off to the side, win condition in mind that I just have to stay alive, and it helps collect the round. So many pieces to the puzzle there, and they're all working very well together for G2. And the sum of the parts come together for Sentinels is the question here. Pistol round is going to put the pressure on right away, Vance.
The stack that you have for Sentinels, it's not going to be the best. Maybe the smoke could help them so far. And he won't.
No. Just cleaning up left and right for this. Is they're actually looking to keep this one flawless probably as they go through the round to make sure it feels that much better.
Wave crashing.
Yeah, and Sentinels, you saw the flash coming out from Zekin. But he couldn't really flood outside of that smoke because Zekin was throwing a one-way on top of that to just try to fight under that smoke if G2 were going to try to flood through. So no punishment be done either. It's very clean for the side of the attack. And they still have a pretty decent minor bonus. With Guardian is on the side of Trent. They could utilize that for long-range battles on top of the belt.
Yeah.
And then a double Bulldogs for Jonah P and Jogimo.
We're already seeing the way the harbor walls are working for G2 too. They're just like, we put up a wall, we will walk up to that wall. And Sentinels are, they have to realize it. They have to respect it and give that space.
Yeah, so Jonah's setting up this lineup to throw the smoke right towards middle, so they'll probably try to have him lean more towards the B side to start, but instead immediately covers towards the A side. So something has to be called by VALORANT to just stay as a group. They're just battling against Sentinels, who actually have 3 players stacked up on the side.
A little bit of a lurk underneath by Zelsis in mid, just keeping an eye where the turret cannot see. So this is on Zekin right now to call for Zelsis' utility if they do go towards B. Zelsis will have a bit of an idea now that he's moved himself over into that spot.
Just a simple default round now for G2, inserting players left and right towards JL, trying to see if Sentinels are going to try to push somebody forward. Then you had the fake being sold by Trent just to break that turret towards middle. If they have to finish down towards middle for G2, they have an opening to push that red alert button and move towards that B side for a plant.
Very G2 of them to take down to 30 seconds in the round to make this hit. Dizzy on Dizzy. I think both get shot on that, so they really don't get too much information. But it's Jogamo trying to go high. Bang's ready for 2 as he fires low, then high for that elevation change. And Sentinels eye on the prize here. Hit all their shots.
Spikes down on top of pipes. It's so hard to go get, and you already have a double flank from Sentinels. Clean towards the end. Good stop coming out from Bang just on the side of 410. And unfortunately there for the side of G2 with the bar that they had, you had stingers on the top by Leaf, who surprised 2 players, but those bullets get out of the clip very quickly and couldn't get the double kill. And John Cutie trades that onto Bang to allow here Sentinels to stop at least G2's push and potentially win the bonus.
Let's go.
It may have been a little quiet, just kind of base Bang, fragging and playing standard throughout the season, but it has definitely been a playoff buff so far for him in these past few series, and Bang is showing up again here on Icebox to help lead the team in frags. This molly over the top each time John has to deal with.
And they tried to triple swing that at first. If somebody was peeking, he could punish it and then get the nanoswarm out. But now, realizing that somebody has anchored up towards Boiler, that they're probably playing like a 2-2 style, so they have to stay as a group for G2.
Tries to get in early. Oh, he gets denied again. G2, so many good reads on these plays that would completely stop what your opponent is doing. Reckoning's gonna start dislodging the site just a little bit. We've already had 1 frag go down as Jogamo makes it 2, 1 for each side now as Thrash is ready to pounce. Oh, it went too far, but he's gonna be saved by Val, and the teamwork is huge for G2. But Sentinels start to come back in, the 1v1 power that they can show, this prowess to get back in and make sure the clutch is theirs.
VALORANT Saddles are down for now and just came back up. So Leaf is the one that has to stay alive here.
Oh, the tap just misses. Bang gives it another sidestep. Almost the 1-2 for Trent.
It's not half.
He's been so good in these situations, Vansili. He's been so good in these situations, Vansili. Can he do it again? Half didn't even get hit. And he pulls on again!
Unstoppable is Trent in these moments of the clutch. A 1 versus 3. Jiggling, isolating these fights, getting the Savile, stopping the women on top of that, not allowing Sentinels to get the 6-man for the defuse. And Trent pops off one more time.
Absolutely nutty performance from Trent. And put in this situation a bunch of times. It's not just the 1 post plant. It's post plant after post plant that he is successful in. Doesn't even break a sweat while doing it. 9 now for G2 here as they steal it back from a Sentinels round win.
I got you.
Smoke is pretty good though. Jogamo couldn't get this kill onto the defense on the left side of the A site. And right now it seems that G2 wants to pivot a lot towards this A site, and that's spiked down though with this kill from second.
Again, spikes up top, so now they can easily keep a focus on somebody having to get towards belt. Yeah, Zekin gives that up. They're not worried about just getting one shot. Spike getting picked up isn't worth losing another member here, so they reset, and now Sentinels enjoy knowing where the spike is. Have this good push into the pit. This B long fight's getting a little weird. Oh, Bang! Absurd. Absurd play from Bang. And they creep in. G2 is in the 3rd or 4th page of the strat book for this one. They've got to pull out everything with what they've lost.
And Sentinels gave up the A site
30
after
seconds left.
Jonah P died. You saw here that they were just playing inserts. The idea was just to get Jonah P up and try to break the turret so they could rework the map. But Sentinels gave up the A site, allowing G2 to turn it back in their favor.
John Cutie, pretty full on util here. Doesn't have the drone, so they can get back in with a bit of the concuss. But Valen just on the other side of the wall to play cat and mouse, and Zelsis finds one.
My ultimate is ready.
A bit of util. Yeah, Leaf is chocked full of util right now. Still has a molly to put on the spike as well.
And with this lockdown, Trent is just waiting so he can try to fall back with a few seconds left, potentially, so he can use the salvos.
Moving forward. They're actually trying to play this one a little different, Van Silly. They want to play a different high-low. Oh, the separation and the angles, though, could make this so tough. That's one. It gets traded, but it's behind Trent now. Could he do it again? No! John Cutie! Sentinel IGL calling and hitting the shots to bring back a very needed round.
And why not? You have your clutcher in Trent and one of your best aimers in Leaf play together inside the site. Instead of giving that space away that you've gained with the lockdown, and you're just trying to surprise Sentinels on a rotate. But it was close. It came down to that 1v1. The first mistake happening by losing that spike. Yeah. Some nice shots there from back and forth from both of the teams, but we still continue to go back and forth in this matchup, Riv. A timeout being called by G2.
Okay.
And they don't have the best in terms of economy for G2 coming back from this timeout.
I think that was the longest round so far from G2, right? They may have had like a 30-second round we saw going previously, but at 30 seconds in that round, that was the Valen pushing into mid. They were still trying to decide to take A. So this may be a call from Josh to say, yeah, we have that kind of strategy, but it's working less against Sentinels than it would against other teams. So maybe back to the speed, maybe back to a little bit more pressure from the G2 side.
Yeah, for sure. And when you were adding that pressure for G2, when they tried to work very quickly towards the A side, what really seemed to stop them was just that singular smoke from Zekin. The one way that's being thrown that side, because yeah, even if you push Zekin away with the salvos and you're trying to push back through the orb, you're running through a one-way and they spot your feet first. So that's why you're seeing so much pressure on the left side. A double setup on the A side over here from Sentinels behind that smoke that G2 really hasn't used util towards that side yet. So maybe you want to save those salvos for those hits. You want to try to drone a little bit later, or maybe use the Armageddon in the next round to really clear out that site and force Sentinels to play a retake again, and where G2 has been shining so far.
A little bit of A.
Right there.
Yeah, A noise to make Sentinels think that there's going to be more coming, but it's the 3-2 split mid. Quick check, early util. See, G2 is, they're definitely worried that Sen will push up more, but they want to take the space. Woo. That was close.
Cover going out.
When you talked about a 3-2, the cascade went up on the side, and you're seeing that Sentinels are playing very slowly, trying to clear every single angle, and you're basically pulling a little bit at rotate at the very beginning just to try to move as a team towards this B site, but that window's now closed. All of Sentinels has rotated towards this B site, and G2 will potentially have a very hard time trying to plant here towards this B site.
That smoke thrown out from Zekin is denying a bit, but Wingman's still able to make it happen. Zelsis
with plot armor.
Yeah, somehow dodges all of that. It's just short enough. Ooh, the pressure, defuse. Defuse Dizzy up, who's gonna try to peek it, but that was a really nice concuss coming in from the side of Trent to try and delay all of this. The shot still missing there for a second as he can't get one to connect. Okay, Narrate says enough funny games, enough funny business. Let's get in here and take the round. Very nicely done. They were given the low buy of G2 a little too much respect there.
Yeah.
As Sentinels finally decide to just take the round over.
And now this timeout is where it's going to be important for Josh RT, not only identifying how they could maybe work towards this A site potentially through the smoke from Zekin, but also understanding the state of the game that Sentinels currently have in this 9-9 scoreline.
Yeah.
Because you have 4 ults now activated on the defensive side. This is a huge swing round potential for Sentinels to potentially even run away in the second map and push this onto Ascent. Sentinels that's been stomped on the first map of Split on their map pick. But seems to have figured out here G2's attack plan with no duelists on their Sun on the attack. And Sentinels with no duelists on the defense. But they're just letting G2 run into them and winning these fights.
Thought he might have seen one, but Narrate does not catch the foot there of Leaf heading into the nest. Decent push up for a moment by Zekin as he tries to recover a bit of the vision, and Zelsis underneath 2 with an outlaw on the full gun round back and forth. Screams through with a headshot on the round.
With Leaf not being able to capitalize on that frag on the A site, G2 has to tempo up here and maybe try to break a bit of util towards B.
The Zekin self peek here. This is going to be a play for him. He's trying to play some timing. Waiting off the util. It's one. Armageddon comes through and he tries to play within the fight. Zelsis picks up another one across the map as well here. Joggum was taking damage from this quite a bit. And now it's just trying to run the spike back. See if they can get to Leaf and if Leaf can hold sight solo.
Bang was waiting at that spot. I don't think they heard the jump. So Leaf could actually bring the surprise.
Yeah, and they'll have Wingman plant, so 2 watching the angles if they need it. Whoa.
Almost caught with util, and that could have been dangerous, but
yeah.
Both players now for G2 in the pulse plan are lower on HP.
That's an inside the sight plant, really. You can play a little bit far back on that, but it's got to be towards mains. You can't play up top, and I think just missed. Doesn't matter though. Celsius with the outlaw finds a 3rd one here. Return on investment, maybe? Can send Narrate cleans up the round again to make sure they can get to 10.
I don't know if there was a mismanagement from the side of G2 not looking at what ults were available, but that alarm bot with the Armageddon out from the combination of both Zelsis and John Cutie made it very difficult for G2 to really fight back towards this B site control.
Just solo holding B too as Zekin needed to rotate out.
So I had to rechange it, but I put a 0 at the start of it. So I was just aiming like this with the outlaw.
He did 0.0.
And still got a kill with it.
Yeah.
So all he had to do was crosshair placement, allowed to get the pick onto Valen. But that said, on a 2 versus 4 and you force out the Thrash, that's at least something there for G2 that could even up the tally. And back into the classic of the G2 Stinger buy. Grouping together this time around, and you can already see the salvos are not used at the very beginning on the top of pipes. They're using it here to try to clear on the execution. There's the salvos on the left side, and Trent gets the opener.
Stingers flying through. I feel like it gives you a speed upgrade here. They've laced up, they're running it down, and it is going to be Bang. Oh my God, the 180, the 360, 720, Tony Hawking him. Dalsis takes down Leaf there. I don't even know how Bang was seeing people. Jeez. Yeah, he's definitely getting a little bit of a playoff buff here, and he's using it accordingly.
Agreed. Going into the regular season, doing pretty decent, but not having too many of those 100 reels that we know that Bang did back in the last season with 100 Ds. But in the playoffs, remember, he aced going into that Pearl game against Cloud9, putting huge numbers. And now this time around, it's just activated in the second map. And what better way and what better position here to activate for Sentinels, because they're now in the lead by 2. G2 on that Stinger buy still has 2 ults now and weapons to work with, and still trying to go back to work towards this A site. And there's 4 players of Sentinels here.
They are not allowing Pipes control. It takes a lot to be able to guard this, right? You are dedicating most of your team if you want to defend this position right off the bat, and Sentinels, they have stacked it. Oh yeah, saw an elbow there. Trent pushing forward. They don't know where G2 can come from them. How much scaling G2 has already done, and Leaf answers back. For this round, G2 feeling pretty good about the positioning, but still pretty hurt here to move through.
Only one person unaccounted for, and that was Leaf, and he's able to open up everything for G2 to trade back and get the player advantage.
Ooh, a quick thrash so he can pick it back up. Defuse, or plant Dizzy. Rinse and repeat. Spike actually went down for that, so they are not gonna matter though. Valen's on the other side. Able to keep eyes on that last frag. No plant money is fine though. They should be okay getting to this next one. Oh, that definitely would have helped actually to get that plant money on the squad. But still enough to buy, seeing the low armor come through here. G2 1 away. And that had to happen before the post plant. I mean, look at what Sentinel's been doing. 4 defuses in a row.
Yeah.
They've been owning it once G2 takes the site. So G2 said, we'll do a little bit before and in between.
And that's just one small mistake coming out there from Sentinels, because again, the position was perfect. They read it perfectly on that push coming out from G2. But because they had one player less, when they went for the high-low swing on the left side, it was perfect for those trades. But Valorant snuck through towards that left side of the A tower and got that trade-off against John Cutie to allow G2 to close that gap. But you mentioned it, the economy's not the best on the side of G2, but Sentinels definitely want to pull the time out to slow things down for a bit, because you need to instill that to your players.
Yeah.
You have to check those small spots. It would have been a different story here if they took care and knew the positioning from Leaf up towards the left side, but I think it was actually Trent in the back of the nest that was able to swing out to get the first blood.
Man, 11-10 here. G2 takes Sentinel's map of split, and Sentinels 2 away from taking Icebox, G2's pick. We're about to get back in off of this timeout. Kaplan not really liking that G2 and squad stop that 4-round streak as they look to get this map and bring us all the way to Ascent. 3 ults per team here as we head into this round.
Right there.
It almost seems that since the timeout for G2 is just drill it in, hit A site, but this time pushing Sentinels away with the first wave of salvos. And in a G2 fashion, they could probably slow this down and wait for the second wave to go back again into the A site.
And Zekken has had Zeus' utility at B all these rounds. They've now moved that over to A with them for the full fight, so we'll see if Zekken still kind of plays that aggressive or wants to get out now that he hears some noise.
Yeah, I mean, he could stay back towards yellow. They have a alarm bot to watch, a very passive
Yeah.
turret all the way in the back of spawn to look into the walk up towards tube. So all of Sentinels, once again, a great read to stack 4 players towards this A site. But Reckoning is definitely going to force them to scatter out.
Yeah, they're playing pretty far up for Lockdown and Reckoning here. One will start to push them back. Just on the left side of that mosh, not going to be enough. To see if they can get themselves in here. Yeah, there's the Reckoning. It's actually going to chase Sentinels all the way out, back down the stairs, into their spawn. And those circles can be seen here by G2 as they move in. You can see the focus right up towards screens and up towards that catwalk.
Interesting plan all the way in the back corner. I don't know if there was a misclick, but
I mean, this is good util. You can easily throw some things in here like Jonah Peas. Oh no, Viper's his actually just went down. Wait, they're fighting in this right now. Viper's pit there.
Zeus is defusing.
It's going to be at 75%, goes down. That's going to be at half now. Shots coming in from Narrate. He's up top trying to play the jungle gym. Can he swing down? Oh my God, the Cove. It's the only thing that separates them as they stand shoulder to shoulder. And that's going to be the half defuse. They give it over to Narrate for this as Zekken was prepping it up. And Sentinels, again, are so strong on the post-plant retake here on Icebox.
Yeah. Towards the end, I don't know if it was intentional or not to have that plant in that corner, because it's very, very unorthodox to get it out there. But maybe the Reckoning and everything that allowed here the wingman to plant towards the corner allows for you to spam a little bit more easily. But you definitely did have to force players to swing out towards Nest, to swing out towards Pipes. And Sentinels again regrouping together to fight back.
I shot at you guys, I shot the ref.
He's like, I shot everything but what I needed to. I shot. I think I hit someone in the crowd for a moment. Yeah.
Oh, back in the action though.
Yeah, okay, there we go. He shot Valen that time. John Cutie on point here. And they've moved the utility back for Sentinels. They don't think that A push is coming anymore from G2, and it seems like they've got a pretty good read on it here. And G2 now without Valen only have to use Jonah P's walls to get themselves in.
So low on HP is Jonah P.
Yeah.
You need Trent to stay alive here. That's probably the silver lining to keep G2 back in the game. If it's not going to be for the post plant, at least to open up the site towards A. Instead, G2 are playing contact. Bang playing very passively because all of Sentinels were leaning towards middle with a triple swing in the very beginning.
Toxins going up. Finished.
That's a big kill.
G2, on these silent rounds, you got to give them credit. They get into some real crazy spots.
And Zelsis has had so much value on flanks in the past, and he's fighting against Trent. That's the silver light. That's what's needed for G2 to stay alive and to win this round.
Zelsis 1v1s have been spectacular here, but it's two. He's going to have to come up big. There's the first one. Trent's going to turn, but he's going to have a second. Now the third, and it's not enough. Trent with the stinger. Close range is just too much, but it's the post-plant king here. Tejo, Trent, ready to lock this round down. Armageddon's already passed. One shot comes through. It can't be traded back by Zekin. But it is Zekin versus Trent. He delays more time now, just trying to put the pressure on to Zekin. Is it possible? Firing to the left, doesn't know he's to the right. Zekin looks like he's got the defuse on. Trent's gonna hit the shot! Stone cold.
Trent is insane again in these clutches. And a selfish play is coming out from G2. Jonah P low on HP saying, let me swing into this one. Let me give my life away. The second player to come across, I think it was Leaf, also to fall down, just so that Trent could bait that kill. The trust that G2 has for Trent in these moments.
It's crazy. Honestly, it's like it's going to be a strategy for teams to find Trent in these just engages and kill him so they know the post plant can't be a possibility. There's nothing you can do against this guy if he is alive, and that spike is planted. Another timeout here for Sentinels.
The last one of this map before we could potentially go into overtime, or Sentinels pushes this to the third map of Ascent. Nary and Bang have two ults to work with on the defense. A lot was being used by G2 on the attack just to try to salvage and win that previous round. And despite that clutch coming out from Trent, despite the few rounds coming through for G2 in this comeback, they've always played in a deficit in terms of weapons available. Going back into this timeout, yes, such a low buy coming in for Leaf. He's small shields Guardian. Joggamil's also with the Guardian. And Jonah P's at 3,500. And we'll have to go for a small shields and rifle.
I mean, honestly, G2's been kind of limping through these rounds with the buys. So for them to even get a few has been spectacular, but still got to recognize this run on the second half from Sentinels. Spectacular as well, and looking like it's going to be good enough to bring us all the way to Ascent. This round here may tell us.
They're trying to get back into the nest for Sentinels. Something that was pretty decent for them earlier on. They're getting stopped right away here by Salmos. Yeah, that cascade doesn't allow for them to get through anymore. So a little bit of a win here for G2 to start.
We saw this rinse and repeat play before. Joggamo actually went down when he was on the belt there. So taking this space to add pressure towards A. G2 have gone back to that regular, or sorry, Sen have gone back to that regular defensive setup. Oh, that's a head being seen. Good damage onto Valen. I wonder if that Dizzy is actually retrievable.
And because of that pressure coming out from Sentinels, Valen actually had to throw the Cove down just to try to stay alive. So they won't really have it to allow the Wingman to get the safest plant. So they're pulling back.
Wingman plant does give Thrash now, though. But again, we just saw that Dizzy get used at site. This is going to be pretty much a dry retake, and Jonah P has to be the spearhead. Sees one, so the jig is already up on this fast rotation. You see Spawn. Sentinel's defense is already starting to lean.
30 seconds left.
Oh. Zekin takes the spike out. That's not going to be the ult point Joggamo wanted for the Thrash. They deny it, and he's not going to be able to use it. Huge kill, Zekin and Zelsis. The two Zs coming up big to stop that site take, and now the lurk in from Valen. It seems like they have an idea of where every member is, and Zelsis is going to be able to get a lockdown on that too. Another one from Zekin before he falls, and it looks all too good here for Sentinels. The shot from John Cutie is the one that sends us to a map 3. We're going to Ascent.